James Pierce Jr. is steadily becoming one of the most electrifying and widely discussed prospects in this year's NFL draft class, and for good reason. His combination of raw physical tools, polished technique, relentless motor, and untapped potential makes him an absolutely fascinating player to project at the next level. Every year, there are a handful of edge rushers who come out of college with high ceilings, but Pierce feels different. He's not just another athletic freak who needs years of development. He's someone who could very realistically make an immediate impact as a rookie while still having plenty of room to grow into an elite, perennial Pro Bowl talent. When you turn on the tape, it's impossible not to be blown away by the way he plays the game. Whether it's his explosive first step, his ability to dip and bend around the edge with absurd fluidity, or his instinctive knack for finding the football, Pierce consistently flashes traits that are simply rare, even among top-tier prospects. Throughout his time at Tennessee, James Pierce Jr. showed that he could dominate games against high-level competition. He wasn't just beating up on inferior opponents. He was consistently disruptive against some of the best offensive lines in college football. In big moments, he often played his best football, demonstrating a flair for rising to the occasion that NFL teams absolutely covet. It's one thing to rack up sacks and tackles for loss against overmatched competition. It's another thing entirely to do it against future NFL players, and Pierce has done that repeatedly. His ability to impact games without necessarily filling the stat sheet is another reason why scouts are so high on him. Even when he's not getting the sack, he's affecting plays by hurrying quarterbacks, drawing holding penalties, forcing rush throws, and generally making life miserable for the opposing offense. When evaluating edge rushers for the NFL, teams look for several key traits: explosiveness off the snap, the ability to bend and corner, hand usage, functional strength, mental processing, and motor. James Pierce Jr. checks every single one of those boxes. His get-off is elite, he times the snap extremely well, and covers the first 5 yards faster than almost any prospect in recent memory. His bend is freakish. He can lower his center of gravity while maintaining speed and balance, something that only the very best pass rushers in the world can do. His hands are active and violent, showing an understanding of how to disengage from blocks. He's not just trying to win with pure athleticism. He has developed counters, he understands how to set up offensive tackles, and he can string moves together in a way that is far beyond his years. His strength allows him to hold up against the run as well, making him a true 3-down player, not just a situational pass rusher. Given all of this, it's no surprise that James Pierce Jr. is drawing attention from numerous NFL teams. But one team that seems like a particularly fascinating potential landing spot is the Detroit Lions. The idea of Pierce ending up in Detroit is thrilling, not only because of the schematic fit, but because of how perfectly he aligns with a culture that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have built over the last few years. The Lions have transformed from a perennial laughingstock into one of the most exciting young teams in the NFL. They play with toughness, grit, and passion, all qualities that Pierce embodies. It's hard not to imagine him thriving in a locker room that values exactly the traits he brings to the table. From a purely football standpoint, adding Pierce to the Lions' defense could be the missing piece that takes their unit from good to dominant. While Aiden Hutchinson has developed into a star on one side of the defensive line, the Lions have been searching for a true running mate on the opposite edge. Pairing Hutchinson's power and relentless energy with Pierce's speed, bend, and explosiveness would give Detroit one of the most dynamic pass-rushing duos in the NFL. Opposing offenses would be forced to pick their poison, slide protection toward Hutchinson, and leave Pierce one-on-one, or vice versa. Either way, it would create nightmare matchups and significantly tilt the field in Detroit's favor. Moreover, adding another elite pass rusher would have cascading benefits throughout the entire defense. Quarterbacks facing constant pressure make mistakes. They throw interceptions, they fumble, they take sacks that kill drives. Defensive backs don't have to cover as long, which leads to fewer breakdowns in coverage. Linebackers can play more aggressively, knowing that the quarterback won't have time to let plays develop. It's a domino effect, and it starts with winning up front. James Pierce Jr. could be the catalyst that unleashes the full potential of the Lions' defense. The logistics of getting Pierce to Detroit are where things could get interesting. Depending on how the draft unfolds, the Lions might find themselves needing to make an aggressive move up the board to secure him. It's entirely possible that Pierce's stock continues to rise as teams fall in love with his tape, his athletic testing numbers, and his interviews. Brad Holmes has shown a willingness to be aggressive when he sees a player he believes in. Trading up for Jameson Williams is a perfect example. If Holmes and Campbell view Pierce as a transformative talent who can elevate the entire team, they might not hesitate to make a bold move to go get him. Financially, drafting Pierce would also make a lot of sense for Detroit. Rookie contracts, especially for first-round picks, offer tremendous value relative to production. Adding a cost-control, high-impact player at a premium position like edge rusher would allow the Lions to allocate resources elsewhere as they continue building a roster capable of competing for Super Bowls. With Hutchinson still on his rookie deal and Pierce potentially joining him, Detroit would have two young stars at one of the most important positions in football for several years before having to worry about big second contracts. That's the kind of roster construction that championship teams are built on. On a personal level, it's easy to see Pierce falling in love with Detroit as well. The city has always embraced players who play with heart, who work hard, and who aren't afraid to get their hands dirty. Pierce, with his blue-collar mentality and relentless drive, would fit in perfectly. He wouldn't just be a star on the field, he would become a fan favorite almost immediately. Lions fans appreciate effort and toughness as much as talent, and Pierce offers all three in abundance. Of course, nothing in the NFL draft is guaranteed. There's always the chance that another team falls in love with Pierce and grabs him before Detroit has the opportunity. There's also the chance that the Lions decide to address another position of need if the board falls a certain way. But if James Pierce Jr. is available, or if he's within striking distance, it's hard to imagine a better marriage between player and team. The fit is almost too perfect to ignore. As the draft approaches, speculation will only continue to grow. James Pierce Jr. is a name that will be talked about endlessly, and for good reason. He represents everything NFL teams look for in a top-tier edge rusher: athleticism, technique, versatility, toughness, and upside. For the Detroit Lions, he could be the final piece of the puzzle, the player who helps transform a good defense into a dominant one, and who helps turn a rising team into a legitimate championship contender. Lions fans should be dreaming about seeing Pierce lining up opposite Hutchinson, terrorizing quarterbacks, and helping bring long-overdue glory back to Detroit. Because if James Pierce Jr. does end up in Honolulu blue and silver, the future of the Detroit Lions and the future of the NFC North could change forever. It's a move that would send a clear message to the rest of the league: the Lions aren't just happy to be good. They're coming for it all.